in their bodies.
So what else do they do for protein if they're not going to do soy? Are there alternatives out there?
Well, you have the nuts
meat?
and seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, to be honest with you, I don't recommend vegetarian lifestyle. I don't promote it. I don't believe in it. But if my patients say this is where I want to be a vegetarian, I will honor that. But I will definitely give them my opinion that I don't believe in it. I was personally a vegetarian for 6 years.
So you're a recovering vegetarian?
Yeah, I'm recovering. Again, that was one of my attempts to be healthy. I thought that was the way to go.
That was your pitfall.
Now,
Yes.
were you not getting enough
Exactly.
protein? Did you see something going wrong?
Very subtle things like dry, brittle hair and nails. You know, subtle things. Weakened immune system. I would get sick, and I would be like bedridden for a week every winter and summer.
So what do you eat for protein?
As far as a vegetarian or as far as what I do?
Right now.
Yeah.
I eat everything under the sun. I stay away from, I don't eat hot dogs. I stay away from processed meats. I try to get organic meats. That's the key.
Range-fed chicken?
How about kosher meats?
Buffalo?
Personally, I don't look for kosher on the label. I look for organic. I look for organic eggs only. I use organic butter. Again, because that's something that, you know, we think that butter is bad, and all of us are switching to margarine, and that's absolutely not good.
Margarine is bad, right?
Margarine is awful.
Because
is it saturated fats or some particular kind of fat?
synthetic?
It's man-made.
Man-made. Anything man-made is not as good as natural.
Yeah. So,
before we get off the subject of copper, because the minute you said 9 to 1, I'm like, I'll just take more zinc.
Well, that's something, you know, you can do that. I'm not going to, you know, that's something you want to do. I would test your zinc levels to copper levels and see if indeed you do need a zinc supplement if you're going to continue on eating soy. But if you have breast cancer or uterine cancer in your family history, I'm still going to say not a good thing.
Right.
Because the zinc is bad for those things.
Oh, because of the phytoestrogens and its influence on increasing
soy,
estrogen.
the copper, and the phyto.
Yeah, the phytoestrogens.
Estrogen.
Now, in your newsletter now, you're talking about infertility.
Yes.
How your practice can help infertility issues. Again, that's a surprise to me.
It is a surprise.
Talk me through a little bit about what is causing the infertility and then what you're doing to fix that.
Well, I've had a number of awesome success stories. Just 3 of them off the top of my head that are just phenomenal. There really hasn't been a trend. Basically what I do is I assess the body using contact reflex analysis and just supply the body with the missing nutrients that their diet is lacking. So, and we make dietary changes. So basically, I see deficiencies in people and I address them and let their body heal and restore balance, and then they can reproduce.
But is there a trend in the insufficiencies that a lot of women who want to get pregnant are not being able to do so? For what reason?
It's hormonal imbalances caused by stress. I think that's the common factor, is stress. Weakened adrenal glands, which regulate your hormones. They also regulate blood sugar. They also regulate your stress, chemically, physically, and emotionally. So these glands have a big responsibility, and because of our stressful lifestyle, the way that most Americans live, that's what gets affected.
So, we had Mike Basso on the program about 6 months ago, who's the head of the Connecticut Holistic Health Association, and didn't he say that stress was the #1? He didn't say #1 killer in American people, but like that was what holistic healers as a group are helping people. So that's it. We're stressing each other out, huh?
That's most of my practice is
culture.
balancing out the body or helping their body cope with stress.
So I mean, obviously your modality is nutritional ways of coping.
Yes.
I didn't know if I told you, my first yoga class.
Great.
Fantastic.
Well, it
was it because you were doing all those positions on the show there?
Yeah, I felt like an old man. It was very painful.
That's great.
So I went and took one, and my wife said that my color actually kind of came back in my face for a while.
Blood
flowing. Nice. Yeah, I got some blood flowing.
We'll get to a point where we won't be able to do touchstones until we do a little yoga beforehand.
Yeah, we'll have like our
pre-touchstones yoga class.
Yeah, absolutely, to get ourselves ready to go.
But let me just give, if I could, just give it one of the success stories with infertility that I've worked with. I had a patient who, for 16 years, tried to get pregnant and had given up on it, and in the meantime, she had adopted 2 children. And she came to me as a patient, not to get pregnant, but for other digestive reasons and stress-related stuff. And indirectly, she became pregnant by balancing out her other issues that she was coming in for. And after 16 years.
But how many months was she coming to you before she got pregnant?
Not that long. I'd say under 6 months or less.
That's
she became
great.
pregnant.
I'm going to send somebody to you.
Yeah, that's awesome story. I mean, this is a woman that had given up, obviously. She had adopted kids. She said, I'm not going to be able to bear any more children. And lo and behold, she comes to visit me. And now she has 4 kids.
Was that kind of a surprise?
It was a surprise for her, of course.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for me, because I know the power of the way the body, when you give the body what it needs, it will do what it has to do. Another success story, let me think, there was another woman who was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome. And after working with her for a very short period of time, she's now pregnant and she's almost due.
That's
so
awesome.
Where the doctors have said, you know, I don't know if you're ever going to get pregnant, or we need to do in vitro, and you know what I mean, just going, you know, they're setting her up for that route, and she at least had the knowledge to the know-how to at least try this first, and happened to be successful for her.
So people come to your practice. How do they come to you as opposed to like an MD? How do they know that it's a nutritional thing that is driving their lack of health or whatever?
Well, there's usually, most of my practice is women, you know, women-based, because women tend to be more intuitive as far as their own health. Men tend to be a little more difficult as far as admitting that they have a health problem.
Denial.
And making this, yes. Even with medical doctors, you know, men will be the, you know, they'll have to wait until they have a horrible symptom that they'll actually walk through the door. In my practice is typically word of mouth, or also through lectures and my newsletters, the word gets out. More and more alternative medicine is becoming more mainstream, but we still have a long ways to go.
But you do refer people, like you referred me to a chiropractor.
Absolutely. I refer to chiropractors a lot, and therapists a lot, massage therapists. There's a chiropractor in Darien, Dr. Zimbrowski, that I refer patients to, as well as Dr. Glenn Meltzer, who I share in my office. There's another doctor, Dr. Laura Pardue in Stanford. So I do refer out a lot for chiropractic, because that complements what I do and helps the patient get well in, you know, in a quicker time.
Do you refer to naturopathic doctors as well?
No, I don't, because naturopathic doctors are very similar to what I do already.
Okay.
The difference between them and I is that they have much more schooling than I. They utilize medical testings for their results and their basis of assessment, and they also use synthetic supplements. So that's what differentiates me. I'm more hands-on, and I use whole foods.
And one thing we haven't mentioned in this program is if people are interested in learning about your process, you have a website and other contact information?
Yes, my website is www.purenutrition.com. It's PURENEWTRITION.com. And my phone number is 203-334-3660. And I'm in Fairfield, and I see my patients once a month, and patients come from all over the state and from other states.
And I'm signing up for the total body modification.
Yes, sign up for total body modification.
I want to be one of the new pioneers into that area.
Yes, we'll put your testimony on my website. And
oh, will you?
Yeah,
good to
definitely,
go.
Okay,
definitely.
cool.
Now, do you sell supplements at your place of business, or
Yes.
just you do?
Well, these supplements are utilized like a prescription. You're not going to find them in a health food store. So there's
They're
a level
proprietary for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this is a terrible question, but ethically, do you think that that's a conflict of interest? Do you make, this is, you know what I'm trying to say, like, my dad's an MD.
Yeah.
And he doesn't own stock in any drug companies.
Right.
Because he doesn't want his own financial benefit to cloud his judgment over what's
Yes.
good for the patient. Do you find that an issue in your own practice?
No, in fact, I'm learning total body modification for the reason that it will require my patients to get well with less supplements. So I'm not a pill pusher.
Okay. And with that, we'll have to wrap. Thank you very much, Rebecca Karchere, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. See you next week, folks. Good night.
Good night.